11 waiting and 0 likes. I see someone is disappointed in y'all. Welcome to Vlog Thursday number 390. And hit that like button, at least an odd number of times. So that's in case you want to hit it more than once for me. Anyways, the live stream has begun actually on time. And I blame Jay the last couple times live streams were there because, well, I can, because he's was the reason a few of those home lab shows started late. I generally speaking get Vlog Thursday rolling at a proper time, and that I think I did. I started right on time. We just turned over 4:46 when I hit the live button, so I feel as though I've done this on time. But I have a few topics for today. I am going to start this off the same way as I did the other ones, where I'm going back to properly taking notes. So I put that in the front of it and having an agenda so I can stay a little bit better on topic. Not that I don't mind when people drag me off topic to answer questions, but where and when you'll be able to find me places. That is at the top of the list here. CompTIA ChannelCon in Atlanta on July 30th through the August 1st. So that'll be the CompTIA event in Atlanta, Georgia. GurCon, that's going to be September 26th and 27th in Grand Rapids. Wild West Hacking Fest, October 9th through 11th in Deadwood, South Dakota. And IT Nation Connect, November 6th through the 8th. That's going to be in Florida. So fun times for sure if anyone wants to find me places. Eventually, this is going to be stuff that'll be, it's in my newsletter. We have a new newsletter template. So head over to, if you're interested in sign up for the newsletter, lawrencesystems.com. It's a once a month publication, which you can find by, let me share that out really quick. We are going to make it a little bit more prominent as we've been fine tuning things with the newsletter. But you'll find this at the bottom of lawrencesystems.com is where you sign up for that. So it's a double, your standard opt-in. You put your email address in there, and eventually we'll turn a newsletter. You'll be able to pull it from an RSS feed. You can do it now, but I don't know that the tweaking's done. And I'm sure there's a Matt Fox listening somewhere. Matt Fox has taken over the back end of Lawrence Systems and the creative side. So you'll see more and more of Matt. He's done an amazing job on the store, but he's also helping me tune all these other things so I can focus on creating the content, and he can focus on being creative in some of the interesting things that he does. By the way, if you haven't checked out the store, we are continually evolving it. So a little self-promotion here. There's a lot more shirts in there. A whole lot of shirts in here. We just keep adding more and more shirts and hats and things. I think we're like 200 items in there. So if you are interested, this does include not just the shirts that are mine. We're going to be doing a promotion with my friend Cyber Matt Lee. We're going to talk about some of his initiatives about why Lock It Up matters, which is basically people who leave their laptops unlocked. If you spend any time on LinkedIn, if you search the hashtag Lock It Up, you'll find some posts by Matt Lee, myself, and many people. So yes. You get all the major events here in the US, much more so than the UK. Yeah. The big events, I think, probably still happen mostly here in the US. But I know there's at least a few over in the UK and Europe, but I don't travel there as much, so I'm less in tune with what's going on over there as well. Like I know there's big events there. I'm just, I've never actually been to Europe, and I've never been to the UK, which I guess the UK is part of Europe. It's close enough in between. We'll go with yes. And yeah, so nonetheless, why do network companies make network devices that are thinner than a rack that don't have 2x side-by-side by default mounting options, switches, and routers? Companies do weird things. Yeah, for sure. I don't know. Good morning from New Zealand, North Wales, Seattle, from the end of the world, wherever that may be. No one's greeting me from the Matrix. We're part of Europe. Okay, fair enough. This is I don't spend too much time dwelling on like where those dividing lines are. It's like you're either in the US to me or not in the US. Yeah, I believe the store does ship to the UK. So I believe that is on the list there. But the first thing I want to talk about was I'm not going to bury the lead here and make you listen to me babble for a long time. We're going to talk about open source note-taking apps. I want to bring this up, and I've been preoccupied with a lot of things. and I haven't been, there's so many other things I had to get done that I was behind on. And now that I feel that those are caught up, I will start getting back to making more videos. See, live streams are easy. There's less production time in live streams. I just have to take you along the ride of where my thoughts are at that time and put this together. It's a lot more work to put together the more concise tutorials. What we're going to pull up here is a few different suggestions for things. Now, I am going to I'm going to make a video on Logseq, I think, and that's kind of what I'm querying the audience for here is how this should be structured. While Tom's just kind of free flowing thoughts here, you get to participate in that free flow thoughts of maybe what you would like to. Excuse me, got the hiccups. Maybe what you would like to see in some of those things. See that you can't. I would have to spend time editing out when I just hiccuped right there. I don't have to do that now. So Logseq is my tool of choice when it comes to open source ones. So I'll probably do the video on this showing how I use Logseq, and I think it's great. But I will admit, I have in the past used several others. And okay, MediaWiki is not exactly a note-taking app. It's more of an entire setup for things that obviously is scales quite well. Is essentially what runs Wikipedia. But MediaWiki is interesting. I've done videos on it in the past. I don't really use it much anymore. So I don't know if I'll be doing future videos on it, but I will make a list of these here, like Bookstack and Wiki.js. Those are also, other wiki-like things that are pretty cool. There's also, which is the other one? Is this one open source? I'm trying to remember. It used to be. Is it? Yes, it is still open source. I'll mention it. Another one that's open source is now we're getting more into actual note-taking apps. AppFlowy is actually pretty cool. It's very in rapid development, but not really finished. And I'll throw a link because I think the other ones are pretty easy to find. Maybe you haven't heard of AppFlowy before. It just ones if you want to check them out. Joplin. We've talked about it on the Home Lab show. I think Joplin is a pretty cool note-taking app. And I have used Joplin. I used it for a while. I did like it. It just didn't. There's things I like, things I didn't like. There was a little quirkiness with it, and the synchronization stuff is getting better with it. But I like things completely in Markdown, which brings me all the way back over to Logseq and how I use it. So I wanted to share with you my actual Logseq stuff, so you can ask some questions. Those questions might be helpful for me in terms of like, hey, would you like to make a video about it? So let me actually share my Logseq agenda, and we'll make it a little bigger so it's actually readable here. I think I can just, there we go, enlarge it a little bit here. So yeah, this is Logseq. So these are where I was going to be, was right at the beginning, and this is what I was reading from. Here's some of the topics. Hey, here's all those ones I was just talking about right there, Joplin, Logseq. And this is as much as I really do for my Vlog Thursday notes, because I usually let you folks drive everything on there. But it's really become like quite a bit, actually we want to say journals, bullet pages. There we go. There's no excluded pages in here. This really shows out how the second brain works, if you will. All the connections between the things that I'm doing. My agenda for Vlog Thursday, it does relate to my Fabric AI notes. The Fabric AI notes also have things elsewhere. And you can get these ideas going back and forth about how all that like ties together, if you will. And I figured out how to do the tutorial on there. So yes, that's the note app I use, and this is Logseq. The mind mapping stuff is just really cool how you can see things in the graph view for this. Because I can see where, per specific things may center around, like you can build to-do lists in here. So here's my done lists. And this is a question, and this is why you may disqualify this right off the bat. Interested in how Logseq, how you sync from your phone, I looked at the sync thing on iOS, doesn't exist. Well, there's a disqualifier right there. If you are trying to do this, and you're trying to do it with something like, you're trying to do it with an iPhone. I don't have an answer to how to make sync thing work on an iPhone. That is not something I know how to do. So if you are in the iPhone ecosystem, I don't have a solution exactly how to sync it. There might be a way you can sync it with a Logseq sync tool, but I've never used it, so I can't really speak to it. I know it's in beta, so synchronization is pretty important. The fact that it's in beta, yeah, might not work very well for you. So it's one of those things that it's probably not for everyone is the best way to describe it. But for me, I find it works really, really well. So it's just like it makes a lot of sense for me to use it because I like syncing. It works with my Android phone, and I love that everything's marked down. I don't try to really push that everyone needs to use exactly the tool I use. And one of the things I want to bring up about Logseq is this. So first, I'll drop some tutorials on you. I'm going to do my own of how I use Logseq, which is going to be different than maybe how you'll use it. Um, One of the things here, do I have it? Right here. This video, and I will drop a link to it right here. So this is Tiago Forte. That's who made this video. He wrote a book that's called Building Your Second Brain. And this video, he talks about how to gather methods with the para method, but he wrote a whole book, and there's a section of the book called the para method. I think it's cool that he's got some of these other things that you can do. Like he's got videos and things that kind of go expanding out of the book. But one of the things before you just dive into a note-taking app, and one of the reasons people find themselves so caught up in which app do I use, and they start hopping between all the different apps, is because they don't have a structured way to capture data. I actually recommend that you get a structured way to capture your data prior to doing this. That's really key. Before you pick the note-taking app, take the time to think about how you structure data. I, prior to doing this, was structuring my data just with markdown text files and scripting files and folders. Like that's my simple way to build out directories of data. So I was already familiar with doing things like that, which is, of course, which made it easier for me to move between apps, because even though I had to learn the nuances of the app difference, I already had a way to capture my data in a structured form. So it's just one of those little things I recommend. And I watch so many people that kind of just bounce around on all the note-taking app ideas rather than actually sitting down and learning how to take notes. Once you have that concept in your head, and that's why I just shared out that video right here, which is about the para method. And the person's got a unique name, the Tiago Forte. I'll throw that name in there as well. He wrote that whole book on it. That book is actually really helpful on thinking about how to structure data. There's also the Zettelkasten method. That is something else I'll throw out there. Just more stuff to give you some thought on here. And I think I'll intro the video like that. Like, hey, here are some methodologies that you can use to kind of go through and put things together for how you want to structure your notes, learn how to put notes together and everything else. It's it helps you a lot. Then you can start looking at the apps. And I think that's why people, they keep trying to find an app that will put them in the place they need to be without having a good plan for it. But the plugins I use are also what's listed right here in Logseq. So are some of these tutorials, which I'll list all these out there. These are just YouTube videos you could find pretty easy. There's a Reddit for it. What other references that I haven't think I had any other references to it, but I mean, to give you an idea of just how the journals look, like, hey, here's my to-do for make a video about Logseq. Jason sent me a thing I got to do in the ConnectWise thing. I was updating my brain doodle notes and my debunking notes. It's just kind of fun to be able to do this. And if you mouse over it, you can see it will also give you a preview of the other thing. There's also the option to split screen this. So you can actually split screen two different things if you need to. I don't really use this feature much, but it's kind of neat that it has that. I do love the seeing this though. This is just fun playing with all these, because you can also see all the orphan things I have on there. So if I get rid of the journals and I just look at some of the orphan pages, some of them are connected. So live show and some of the newsletter things were connected. There's my TrueNAS 24 replication video. I didn't reference, I just started creating the video. So it's referenced in a journal that I was creating it, but that was really it. So then here's the chapters. Here's the login for it. Here is the password I had set to it, for the demo I was setting up. I set up, I do have passwords in here that I'm completely disclosing. These are things that are for the videos. They're torn down after the video, so I don't mind sharing any of this. And yes, I do take the time to set reasonably good passwords for my demo stuff. My passwords are not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for demo things. My passwords are much more complicated for actual production things, but stuff I can type. Is what you'll see in these, because I end up having to type this a lot. I don't like cluttering up my password manager with saved passwords, but Muddy Flower 50 is easy to type, and the user was Tom Test, and that was when I was setting things up to do the synchronization on there. Matter of fact, I sometimes will expose the passwords while I'm doing it, just in case people go, I could figure it out. I'm like, yeah. I'm not going to lie. You're going to laugh when you find out how I generate some of the passwords. This is what makes me laugh. I'm going to share this with everyone real quick. Go to dinopass.com. Let me just remove that and share. Present, share screen. Yep, looks like you're not wrong at all. It's definitely DinoPass generated. This is my favorite generator is the DinoPass one. Another simple password. It just works. Kind Liquid 35. Round Help 25. Free Must 67. Mega Newt 45. Like definitely very, very simple. I don't know. I've been using it for so long. It auto completes every time I type it in. But yes, this is how I generate demo passwords all the time. It just works. It's all those simple things out there. Yeah, see, other people are using it. I've been using it for so many years. I don't even know how long ago I found it. But nonetheless, the whole using Logseq, I don't know, is there an interest in a video? It's a little bit off for my channel, but it also seems to come up a lot about what tools I use, because capturing knowledge is a huge part of what we do in tech. I have lots of notes on things. I have, let's see, I don't think any. Yeah, I can share. I can share this one. I was making sure. Sometimes I do have customer names in there. That's why I'm kind of careful where I scroll around. Because if I have a follow up with a client, that actually goes into my to do list and things like that. So, window and like when I build notes for things, it also has the ability to create code blocks really easily. That way I can copy and paste these things when I'm doing the commands. This is another feature. So if you're here and we want to do a code block in Bash, for example, and then we can just start putting, I should type actual there, and then we can say, we'll do a list. So you can start putting these things in here, be able to copy and paste them in. Like I said, this is once you get used to using a lot of this, it becomes really, really handy. And if I need to, it's always re-editable like this, so I can edit it all back in Markdown. And I don't need that there. Now, kind of related to this is because everything's in Markdown, and we can bring another window over to share. And because everything's done in Syncthing, I think it does look a lot like Obsidian. And people ask why I don't just use Obsidian, and I'm like, I lean towards open source is a big reason why. Doing everything I can with a series of open source things to me is absolutely like the way to go. I'm just huge on doing it that exact way. But let me share another screen here. So stop, share window. There we go. That window. Right, drag it to reasonable size so I can fit it where I just want to make sure it's viewable to everyone in the audience here. There we go. Nope, actually, I don't want that. I want my. So there's all those files that are in here. Your security program sucks. That's actually, what was that one about? Let me look that up real quick. See. What was it? Oh, yeah. That was me laughing about some things. But I can Vim and edit any of these because they're all just Markdown. And anytime I edit these, SyncThing real-time synchronizes it and it syncs everything back up. This is what allows me to be so quick at creating things, but also have access to them from a text level. And I'll do a more concise video. This is that production video versus doing it in a live stream to show you actually how I do these things. Or even, what was it? Admin tips video. And there's all the different things. There's even the chapters for the video in here. So if I need to edit it here, or if I need to edit it anyway, I don't like things tied to a database personally. It just makes it a little bit more complicated. So from a workflow standpoint, everything just being a series of markdown files is so much easier to index, manipulate, move things around. As a matter of fact, it's it solves kind of any of the compatibility problems that I have with any of it. I've only just started taking notes properly over the past few months. I've been slowly dragging assorted notes and snippets from everywhere over the past few years. Yeah, and that's one of the nice things because all of my stuff, some of it before Markdown was just simple text files. And that goes back to me obsessively collecting text from the BBS world. I still have files I downloaded from the BBS days in the 90s. I still have that data and I can still access that data, manipulate that data. I keep them in separate archives. Like some of my old stuff, I know it's not relevant, but if I find something that's relevant, I think I need to bring it into my current note taking. I'll pull it out of the archives and be able to pull that stuff in there. How thinking handle merge conflicts. You end up, so not a, I don't know if I really show that the way I can force create the problem by logging in the two different places and editing simultaneously. You end up with a same file name dot conflict dot date. So SyncThing, you can look at the SyncThing documentation for conflict. It'll show you the naming schema it uses, but it just creates two copies of it. You don't lose the data. You just end up with two copies of the data. So it's not really a big deal. I mean, DocuWiki and Bookstack are cool. I don't like having to maintain a web server for my personal notes. I think it's great for once you get into a shared group of notes, it makes a lot of sense to have a whole web-based application. But using it like this is a lot easier because now I don't have to worry about that. Does embedding images work or does that depend on the Markdown client? Yes, you actually can embed images. I rarely do so, but there is, and let me show you in the window here where those go. So for example, there's an assets page. So if we go here to assets, it will automatically build out asset holdings. So everything goes in here and links to it. And what you'll see in the markdown is a reference to the assets for a particular image you have for something. So it's not really, it works. I just don't like it that much. You can see I have like a single image in here because I was testing something. For all the different notes I have in here, you won't find many images embedded in them. Just not really what I do. Now I may link them to where I'll find images if I had to reference an image, but it's really not as often that I'm doing that. New Exo sources for 24. No, I already did the video for 2024 and I don't build it as a deb package. I'm not going all the way into package building. I'll just say that. I show how to use the Zen Orchestra install tool for doing it. And yeah, so that's as far as I go on it. I don't build deb packages and installers for it. Is there an open source solution to transition from OneNote to Windows? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've never really looked to see what you can use to export things. I did find that Google Takeout, as I used to use Google Notes a lot, because I've been using it since the earliest days they came out with Notes. I migrated away from Notes a long time ago, but I used Google Takeout to export everything and pull everything I wanted out of there. Once again, it's all text manipulation, so it wasn't too hard to do. There's probably something that'll export all your OneNote stuff. What's the best way to separate a network on TrueNAS and have management apps on different NICs? You can tie the Kubernetes to a different NIC, but it's not easy right now. I don't know if they're going to make it any easier. I think you can set up some bridging. I don't know. They didn't give you really good tools for that inside of TrueNAS right now to separate the apps from the management side. I'm thinking when they move to Docker, it'll get a lot better, but right now it's not. Now, something else, and maybe this is a little foreshadowing here. Let's go ahead and play with something because I said how Tom uses AI in here. And I want to do the Logseq video. And even if I do a brief Logseq video, just to keep it short, what that may turn into, creating. Let's create, there we go, a live demo of some AI things for Vlog Thursday. All right. Actually, I should put this in front of me. It's weird to turn my head and type. It's not, I don't look at the keys, but turning my head makes it harder to type. I don't know why. Anyways, so we're going to create a file. Some live file demo. There we go. I know this is going to be nothing here. All I did was put a couple brackets around it, typed some live file demo. Now that doesn't exist yet because until I click it, it's not a file. Now it's a file. Now this exists. So that's how I can create a new file in here. Pretty simple. But what if I wanted to examine an article? And, I think I have a newsletter. Right, let me find, do I have a McDonald's article in here? I think I did. McDonald's outage. Oh, here we go. No, that's just their outage one. I was hoping, did I have one for the McDonald's AI? Maybe not. Let's see what other articles do I have. Whoops, that is not what I wanted. I did not mean to hit the full screen button. There we go. But let's take something here that we can pull a newsletter from. Oh yeah, this one right here. Perfect example. This is TP-Link. Here's one of those things. Yeah. Oh, it was there. Well, there was there, but it's not the link to the article. It's the reference I had in Vlog Thursday, which is not the right. It's not the link to the actual article. That's the challenge. But this one's actually, I like this one better. 12 vulnerabilities identified and patched in collaboration with TP-Link. I had commented, I think TP-Link was on top of it for security for their Omada product. So this, security research definitely dropped about this, but it's a good read. So let's switch. We're going to switch here to sharing out, stop, present, share screen. And now we have this article here. And there's, all the write-up, all the details, all the things you want out of a good security research article. But what if you needed a summary of that article? That would be a nice thing to have. And this is where we're going to talk about AI for a moment and how I use AI. I'm actually using a tool called Fabric. I've been using it actually for a while since it came out because I've been subscribed. I was an early adopter of some of these tools because I've been subscribed to Daniel Messler's newsletter, and I pay for it. I pay for the whole thing where you can, early access, you get some insider stuff with them. And it's funny, Network Chuck just did a video on this, and I like the way as his philosophy is augmenting things. He's got a reference to Network Chuck video that was just published. There's a couple others. Danielle Messler has a video on it. You can check it out. It's kind of a neat way to do really solid prompt engineering, all from the command line via text. And why this is important and how does this all tie to Logseq? So we have those vulnerabilities we just talked about. And then we have this file that we're called some live file demo that we had created. And now let's tie this all together to show you how Fabric will create a summary and tie it into Logseq. So stop screen. We'll switch back over to the command line here. And I have a little tool called Fetch Site. And we're going to have it create a summary. And I've actually, it knows I've typed this one before, but we have a new file, create summary. Now this will create a summary, but I actually want the summary piped into that file. So now we're going to go Tom's notes, Logseq, Tom, pages, and it was called some live file.demo.nd. So now we're taking this and fetching that into the output. And this is piping it through the create summary process inside of Fabric, which is going to create an AI summary of that entire web page. And I'll show you what fetch site does here in a minute. So the fetch site is really simple. It's just a way for me to, I could have copied and pasted this, the text out of the site and done it. Fetch site just uses curl with pandoc to strip out garbage and make a plain text version of the site. Really simple. There's nothing special about the command I'm using here. You could have just copied and pasted it. But let me show you what the output of that was. So now if we were actually to Vim, Tom's notes, Logseq, pages, Tom, pages, it's got all the main points in here. So here's all the output sections. Cisco Talos Research discovered 12 vulnerabilities. It makes them all nice. And we could make this a little bit prettier. I think if I stretch it, it'll look a little better. There we go. A little cleaner. But of course, I just updated that file. And because I have SyncThing running on the back end, if we switch over to, we stop this presentation, present, share screen, it auto updated right here. So here's all the output from that. So I have this nice takeaways and I can start building this into a paper, a research. I can start manipulating the text, but it got the main points of the article. Maybe I want to create discussion points around this. Maybe I want to turn this into something, but I could have, created the file and called, Cisco Research with Omada, injected that information. Then I start building my notes around it. I've got some key takeaways. Matter of fact, you can go further and I can prompt it to do things like build me a LinkedIn post and build me a post in my voice and then have it create those posts. So this is some of the stuff I've been doing inside of the whole Fabric system where I think this is some of the most useful stuff for AI. This is the part where I agree with what AI can do, how it works, and somewhere it can be really useful. And maybe I'll do a video kind of covering both of these because they kind of tie together for me where I'm manipulating all this via text. I'm adding this, and then I can do from the command line. And when I'm not trying to do this and talk at the same time in a live stream, this is really fluid. I'm like, hey, I need a summary of that thing that's going on right there. And it just makes it really fast. For example, and I'll show you a couple more demos here of how I look at this. Switch over to the terminal again. Make it a little bit less stretched out. But one of the other things you can do inside of here is create summaries of YouTube videos. And I think this is one of those things that makes it that much more fun. If you have a YouTube video and you're like, I don't got time to watch that video is too long or too much. My live streams are like that for some people, but maybe you want to find something inside of there. Actually, this was actually a fun video. Let's use not a tech video. Actually, maybe we should use a tech video. I'm trying to find something not controversial. Birds aren't real. That's not controversial at all. Birds are not real. There we go. You've probably heard about the birds aren't real. And I'll share this video for anyone that's interested. The person who came up with the birds aren't real did a whole talk on it and everything else. So it's definitely a lot of fun. So there's the video if you are interested, the one I'm actually going to analyze here. But there's a couple different ways we can analyze it. So we have, I have a really simple one. If you just wanted chapters, if something doesn't have chapters, I made this so I could just paste in the ID of a video and it'll get chapters. But YT dash transcript. And then we drop in the video. And what this is going to do, I'm just going to let it do a whole screen dump here. And it's just going to go, cool. It just pulled the transcript of the video and awesome. But that's obviously not helpful. If you didn't want to watch the video, maybe you don't want to read the video either. So before I go in further with this video, we can do things like create summary. So let's create a summary of the video. So YT transcript, and we're just piping again through the same create summary tool. And now it's going to take all that text. It's going to analyze it. Yeah, I do like that. If it flies, it spies. You're not but this is, you read through the output. Oh, the speaker pretended to believe birds were government drones for a satirical project. So you right away, you're like, cool, it analyzed that for you. He created a fake movement, held rallies, spread misinformation to expose media gullibility. Yep. The experience in him understand appeal to belonging identity within conspiracy groups. It was a good takeaway. People also often join conspiracy groups for a sense of belonging and purpose. Judging and dismissing conspiracy theorists is unlikely to change your mind. So here you got some fun takeaways that were analyzed from all of this. It's kind of a fun tool. And I use these in conjunction with each other. I never like to ever not tell people how I do things. I create a lot of summaries of things. I post a lot of content, but I do use tools, and AI has been part of some of those tools to just help me summarize and put together data, make things a little bit easier from starting from a blank page when I want to start doing some of these things. And kind of related to that, because as I was talking about how the YouTube chapters, create video chapters is one of the options. So you can actually take that same transcript. So create summary. If we do a video, create video chapters, watch what it'll do. It's going to go analyze all the timestamps in the video. And there we go. There's all the timestamps for when he talks about any of these functions. So when you see some of these really in-depth videos, which people sometimes send me, oh, you should watch so-and-so talk about this thing. And I'm like, I don't have 2 hours to watch that video right now. So it's just kind of a fun way, I think, to be able to do this. And because everything's text manipulation, this is also, when Vlog Thursday is over, how Vlog Thursday gets its transcripts. Several hours it takes after a live stream is finished. YouTube will automatically transcribe that particular video. Then I pipe it through this, and it allows me to very easily just go through and say, all right, I just want to, rip through this and give me all the timestamps, and then I can paste them in. Matter of fact, kind of as you may notice here, if I were to do this, I'm not going to do it here, but we can go back to Tom's notes, Logseq, Tom, pages. I thought it was called, nope, not that one. What did I call this file? I could dump it into one of the other files for the agenda file, but I forgot what I called I called it agenda. It's not called Vlog Thursday. Let's go back and say, if I wanted to put it into this, so I could create the chapters for a video, pipe it into there, and then, build it out. It's just kind of a simple way to handle it. And because it's all done in a text environment, it makes manipulation really easy. It makes synchronization really easy. It makes moving. If I ever decide Logseq isn't the tool I want to use anymore, I've used other tools, and you can bring markdown text into or out of majority. I mean, even if you switch to one of the commercial projects like Notion or Obsidian, other commercial software out there frequently can import, or at least you can copy and paste all your markdown language in there. It's one of the reasons I keep everything in markdown. So just kind of my thoughts on there. If people think I should make a more tutorial-esque video rather than rambling live stream of Tom, let me know. One thing I will show, though, for people that may be wondering, is how it does the magic. And that's actually something I'll show real quick here too. CD fabric patterns. Whoops. Fabric patterns, create summary. This is the prompt engineering that goes into it. And this is all listed out in the page as well. It's kind of the problem with AI is this giant blob of things. And I seen someone ask a question that I think is extremely relevant to this topic. And it's this one right here. What are your thoughts about AI copyright and lawsuits at the moment? Like music labels starting to sue the music generator companies. These models are probably trained on a lot of copyrighted content. They're probably massively trained on there. And I don't know the answer to it. Am I supporting it by using it? I don't know, because I run some of this stuff all with my self-hosted Olama instance. Does that mean I am participating in this? Am I part of the problem? I don't know. I definitely think that just stealing all from artists is a terrible idea, pulling all that out there. But it becomes a little bit fuzzy because it's not necessarily verbatim from them. So if it reads, it has a lot of information and I can query it about concepts. It's not giving me verbatim words from a copyrighted work. It's giving me the amalgamation of all of that kind of merged together. So it becomes very, very complicated topic. I don't think there's any easy answers, because there's no probably about trained on copyrighted content. And there's no probably that the ChatGPT system voice kind of doesn't, it sounds like, is it Scarlett Johansson that they copied? Yeah, that's not right. Sorry, that's not right. So there's a long way to go of legal issues, but copyright in general is extremely broken right now. And this isn't helping it at all. So this is one of those, that's the dark side of this technology, is figuring out where we have these things. I think we just need more rules that protect artists and protect those that are the creators as well. I think there is a world where we can have both. Unfortunately, much of AI is filled with overhype and grift, which drives me crazy. Tech Dirt. Actually, I think I have this on LinkedIn, because I'm not that bullish on some of this AI stuff like a lot of people are. Some people are probably overly so overhyped on it, we'll just say. And that's how we end up with, and this is a great article. I'll share it out here as well. This is going to be in my newsletter, so I have thoughts on this. But they just nailed it right in the beginning of the article right here. McDonald's gives up on AI after a comedy of errors, including putting bacon on ice cream. Now, bacon on ice cream, I actually think I've had bacon on ice cream. I don't think it's that bad. If there's been a recurring theme during the AI, read language learning models, revolution, it's that the tech sector and greedy financiers are prematurely rushing undercooked technology to market. We've seen it broadly across industries, whether it's fabulism, prone fake journalists, automated health insurance systems with a 90% error rate, or Google telling people to eat rocks and glue. The Google eating glue thing was great. I mean, from an amusement standpoint, but also showing how AI is making things worse in many ways. But essentially, this is about the AI trial system, and it's really truly the status of AI. There's just a lot of things that it doesn't do well. And obviously taking orders at McDonald's, definitely on that list of things it doesn't do well. And this is what led me to sharing this over on LinkedIn. And I'll share this post with anyone else who wants it. My posts are all public on LinkedIn. So if anyone wants to follow, connect with me there, that's perfectly fine. And I said, would you hire an employee that randomly hallucinated? Here's where the rub starts with AI. Imagine a brilliant employee who consistently delivers impressive work, but also has episodes of random hallucinations, leading them to confidently present a mix of accurate data and complete fabrications that are not easily noticed without careful examination. If such, this does qualify as a human candidate, I got that worded funny. Why do people hyping AI readily ignore similar and potentially unsolvable hallucination issues in AI when it comes to replacing human jobs? I get why it's citing. AI is remarkably effective at acquiring tacit knowledge rather than relying on hard-coded procedures, and does so by learning by example, gains mastery with without explicit instruction and acquires capabilities it was not explicitly engineered to possess. Despite all that, I feel that AI is still just a tool to augment our work, not replace workers. And this is the big myth of AI. And the myth of AI to me is when people say it's going to replace all the jobs. No. Matter of fact, thinking AI can replace your level one techs is a terrible idea. McDonald's is like the perfect proof of you can't use AI to replace a level one tech. The reason why is because AI randomly will hallucinate and give you terrible answers. If you have a level three tech who's really good at coding things, understands the consequences of certain codes, they can use AI to help them write a bunch of boilerplate stuff that's very helpful. And they will realize when things have gotten out of a context window and that AI is doing something that just doesn't work. This is a bad piece of code. This is insecure. This is actually a talk me and Jason did kind of related to this when we were at IT Nation. Me and Jason Slagle did a talk talking about your automations are making you less secure. And we were talking about some of the AI automations where the AI, you can just give it a command and it will know what command to run. You'll say, do this thing, and it will write the complicated code. In the pitch, the concept was that your level one techs now don't need to have that level three knowledge. The problem that we displayed was the fact that the system would simply do some terrible things, but also because it's non-deterministic. AI doesn't always give the same response twice. You don't know when it's going to. And so now you have a level one tech playing with fire. And without their more experienced knowledge that you have with a higher level tech that goes, oh, no, 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 we can't use that particular variable because that variable is going to be pulled from the system that it runs on, not the user. And so the assumption of that variable being right is wrong. It looks like it'll pass muster, but a more experienced coder goes, no, it won't. This is how that will run. Those are the challenges with AI where I don't see it using there. We do use AI, private AI, self-hosted at CNWR. We're getting more into having it examine our scopes of work and reviewing things because it does a good job of large text, of looking at text that you paste into there and finding problems with it, or even large text customers send to you and examining that. That is actually something it does a good job at. You can have it read a contract, and I still recommend you have a lawyer read the contract, but boy, you can get a lot of legwork done having AI just go through and tell it, examine this contract, look for problems related to this, related to that. And when you're talking about like a 10-page legal contract, it'll go, oh, on page 4, paragraph 2, this is something that is concerning. And I'm like, awesome. I didn't, I can get my own overview of understanding that. And it's where AI is useful. It's just not so good. And I don't think it will get so good where it just replaces humans. This is where even like Daniel Messer with his Fabric project, and I listened to his podcast, and I think he's very insightful, great guy. I think he's more on the not overhype, but he's definitely maybe on the hype side where some of the stuff on there. But he comes from a very optimistic view of it, less dystopian. He admits some things are a little dystopian, and he's not wrong about that. So he's got some balance on there. Which private AI? Different variations of Olama. Olama, and then the models are I've got the Dolphin Mistral set up and Code Llama and a few others. I bounce between them. I use the Google one a lot. I love Gemini. Actually, I've been using Google Gemini a lot more because it works. Right now, my Llama machine's turned off because I need to move it. I need a better graphics card for it. So, yeah. The problem with it is that the user needs to know the answer given by you is wrong or not. Yes, and that's my whole. You need to have a level 3 tech. You have to have someone that realizes that answer is wrong. This is where AI gets really kind of goofy. I was asking it to pull quotes from a book, and it gave me a quote and it's a book I just read. And this is this time saver. I read the book already. I said, hey, pull some of the good quotes out of that book. This is me just not wanting to go through Goodreads or copy and paste different sections of the book. And so it did. It pulled some really good concepts from a book I had read because I was like, cool, this is a great way to start with me creating a summary of the book. But then it had a concept that was unrelated to the book. And I'm like, that is actually something the author had said. And this is where AI breaks. It gave me something confidently. It gave me several quotes, but one of the quotes was from a completely different book by the same author. And I'm like, it's in the author's tone because it is something the author said, but it's wrong because it's not in that book. And so this is where someone who's read the book, it's a helpful tool. Someone who hasn't read the book gets 5 quotes and go, oh, those are great quotes. Let me talk about them. Let me make a blog post about the book and just pull these 5 quotes. Well, only 4 of them are accurate. So that is I think it's one of those tools that is good in the hands of someone who's understanding of how it works. That's the key to AI, in my opinion, and I can be wrong. I'm just not as overhyped. I see things through the jaded glasses of working in tech and for over 25 years and hearing a lot of promises on just around the corner technologies that will be better soon. We've been hearing AI is going to take all the jobs away from us within a few years now. So it hasn't, and I don't think it will. I think there's some intractable problems with the way we build it, and that's where I'm at. Doesn't mean I can't use it for things like creating text summaries and creating boilerplate code. Or by the way, it knows regex way better than I do. My Graylog video and all the extractors, I use an AI tool to look at logs and figure out how to create the extractions. Works great. So yeah. Honey, how large language models are good at analyzing large amounts of text. Yeah, they are, but aren't. There's ways they are, but there's still things they get wrong. That's an important part. I've been dodging getting volunteered for AI niches at work. Yeah, it's fun. We taught AI to write like a middle manager and thought it meant AI was sentient rather than realizing middle managers aren't. I do love that tweet. I think the Internet Hippo tweeted that out. See, I'm a weird index of just things I have memorized. Let me look at that. Let me find that quote. Was it the Internet Hippo that said that? That's what I want to know. Oh, there we go. The Internet Hippo tweeted that on January 26th of 2023. It's I need my second brain, the Logseq, for some things, but there's weird things that stick in my head. Like when someone says something I know like that, I don't know. I don't know how it's somewhere indexed in my head. When someone posts those things, I'm like, I know who said that back in certain time. Well, actually, time is one of my problems I have. I don't know what time people said something, as in what year. But I always have a lot of random when I see something, I'm like, oh, I remember when I first seen that. And I also save some of these. I have a extremely large collection of quotes and they're attributed. So if someone quotes something, I make sure to say where I found it from. I learned this from a discussion about Robin Williams, who admitted one time someone had commented that Robin Williams had stole their joke, but Robin Williams says, I might have, was his reply. He goes, the problem is, he goes, I remember quotes really well, but not who said them. But he goes, sometimes I think I'm the one that said them. He goes, it's an honest mistake he would make. And I don't think he did it maliciously. I believe that's one of those things. Like, so I started going through quotes I've been collecting for years. And I started always tagging who said it, either linking to their Twitter or just the name or whoever did the quote. The weird thing. So any thoughts on Vector DB? It's on my to-do list to look at it. I don't use it. Someone had mentioned it and I said, hey, that looks cool, but I don't use it. So I don't really have, I don't write a lot of databases. So I don't have a lot of opinions on it. I think I feel like that's the one someone told me to check out, which I said, yeah, it's I think this is what you're talking about. Vector by Datadog. I know some people using it. It was some tech friends, but I don't use it. So yeah, I don't really have a ton of opinion on it. The only thing I use AI is to generate code for scripts and Ansible playbooks. So give me good basic code that I can just tweak a bit and use. Saves a lot of time. That is exactly, I think, a great use for it as well. Like just being able to start the the muse problem, if you will, staring at a blank page, needing someone to get some of the framework done for you, that is also pretty cool. Out of interest, have you tried active pieces for automation? I have not. Legend has it Robin would apologize profusely and give money to anyone accused him of stealing a joke. Probably. If you didn't watch the documentary called, I think it's called Robin's Wish, I highly recommend it. Definitely, yeah, Robin's Wish. Definitely watch that. If you have any interest in Robin Williams or whatever, you want to really know about him, it was put together by his wife. So it's very interesting. It's just a lot I did not know, and it's really, really good. Oh, it splits data into multidimensional, so it can be ingested by an LLM, text and video. Okay, interesting. Yeah, no, I don't really. I also am not the one building the language models either. I'll just take the pre-built ones and we're not really doing any special training. Most of what we're doing is prompt engineering, which is why I think Fabric is so cool because it takes all the effort out of prompt engineering. Fabric has a lot of pre-engineered prompts. So there's so many of them in here that when you look through all the code, and by the way, you can just use the prompts. You can go in here. They call them patterns, but analyze this, analyze pros, analyze tech impact, uh, answer interview questions, ask secure by design questions, capture the thinker's work. And you can just go through, look, here's the identity and purpose. You take a philosopher, professional, notable figure, thinker, writer, author, all these. It's kind of weird. You put these almost like run-on sentences in the AI as part of the prompt. You even tell the AI, take a deep breath and think step by step on how to do the following steps. And this is so important with AI is doing these prompts, putting this all together. That way, all this comes down to here's the text from some, worker. You just like dump all the data and it starts assembling all their information about that person. I just think that's a really great way to think of it. Like AI doesn't know what it is. It tries to be everything, but with prompt engineering, you're getting it to be what you want it to be. You're narrowing it down. Don't use all of the knowledge. Use this focus right here to build this profile of how this task should be done. And I think that's where AI becomes like substantially more useful. And the problem is that's complicated. And the people who are hyping AI are like, it's magic. It'll just take your order when you go to McDonald's and make all the food and do everything. And of course, they're hyping it because they're trying to sell you on you can replace all those silly workers that are complaining and wanting to get paid and wanting to be treated decently. You don't have to treat AI decently. That's the unfortunate side of AI is the hucksters, if you will, the grifters, the people that are just financiers looking to make a buck, not actually technologists who are truly interested in the technology and want to talk about, even though it's complicated, how it can really solve a problem. Because all the things I just described are cool, but they're not money makers. And because it didn't talk about how I just replace someone or replace a bunch of someone. As a matter of fact, from a number standpoint, you could say that maybe some AI talks about enhancing your more advanced workers, but the often bigger selling point is going to be we can replace all those pesky level 1 people that you don't like anyways. All those groups of people, our magic will magic all those people away. And there's been that Tech Dirt article on McDonald's is pretty scathing about McDonald's failure, but it links to numerous other companies that have also failed on all the stuff. Yeah, great sales pitch. All those people who know all the stuff gone. Right. Those people who cost you too much money gone. So you're saying Chappity doesn't require my clothes, boots, motorcycles, guys in charge. Yeah. Just use it as a tool like any other software. That one, you're not. my friend works for a very, very, very large company, and he was actually calling out. I can't remember which company. Well, sometimes I got to get maybe I'll get him on the channel, but he's got to be anonymous on here. We'll have to disguise his voice or something. But the challenge really is you talk about how so many companies are now pitching AI to enhance his security team. And he says, he goes, their demos suck. He goes, if you go off script, their demos are bad. And he says, he goes, they're just so hyped to put AI in it and get it in front of companies to buy it. But my friends like me, long enough in tech to see through the hype and call the hype out. I'm not believing your hype. Your tool doesn't work near as magical, and you slapped AI in an existing tool. And you didn't really do anything to enhance the tool any. Yeah, there's still a whole lot of that going on. But I'll answer any questions we have towards the end here, as I've covered my agenda. I do have some more things I was going to do, so I'll start winding it down here. Like and subscribe and all that stuff, but I'll give you a few more minutes to answer a few more questions if needed or if wanted. Oh, I was looking. Okay. I don't know why they sent that to me. I'm looking at internal notes because I started getting a few messages that I thought were weird from people at CNWR. They're catching up with something I told them a long time ago. And I'm like, oh, that's why you're talking about it. And it's this right here. I can share what they're talking about. This is actually kind of novel. And maybe I'll grab one. I'm friends with the people over on 45 Drives. But yeah, that was me scratching my head because like I got like 3 messages. Anyways, 45 Drives made the Proxinator, which I think is pretty cool. A turnkey virtualization solution for ESXi. Virtualization, storage, support all in one. Yeah. Maybe I should play with more 45 Drive stuff. I will be going to 45 Drives, the Creator Summit. Now, I don't list it on the places you'll find Tom. Because the Creator Summit is going to be just me and a few of the other creators there. We're all going to be hanging out with the 45 Drives team. We'll do some videos on it, so there'll be content around the 45 Drives Creator Summit. I just it's not a place that other people might be besides the few people that get invited, but I will be there doing some behind the scenes talks at 45 Drives. I talk to them at least once or twice a month. I love all the people there. They're great. We're also a business partner with them. So some of our conversations with them are business partner related. So that's definitely relevant in terms of like we have a working relationship with them. I didn't, that's I think what the announcement is for the Proxinator. They sent an email out for it that my sales team got. And I think that's what the question is. We have pricing on it now. I don't know what that pricing is, but pricing's available for quotes. But yeah, it might be interesting to set. I'll find out. If I do a video on it, I will definitely at least give the price range for what it would cost. And of course, everybody knows if somebody won't publish pricing on the website, it's so they can charge you as much as they can and get away with it. I don't know. Yeah, Nova Scotia is definitely somewhere I've not been, but looking forward to go. It's a beautiful area over there. So that's the only downside is it takes a long time to get there. I was going to drive. Then I realized it's 23 or 24 hours for me to drive from Detroit to Nova Scotia. I was like, yeah. I'm glad there's more people who have a skeptical view of AI. Yes, I am far from a hype person for AI. I am one of those people who actively use it for things and then tell people most of it's stupid. So I'm always of two minds on it. Like a lot of this is dumb is kind of my answer for a whole lot of it. But yeah, I'm not overhyping it. I have no financial interest in it. I just have the fact that I like that some things work really well inside of it, like the text summarization and the things like the whole Fabric project, I think is really cool. And it's an efficiency booster for being able to just grab things out of an article and stuff like that. So have you seen a new Kotam Q1 that served the home is hyping? Looks really great for Kubernetes or smaller XCP and GHA clusters. Yeah, I seen that. I've debated if I reach out to Quotom. I don't review a lot of hardware. I don't love reviewing hardware as much. I don't know. I'm kind of mixed. Sometimes I get a little excited about it. Sometimes I don't. There's so many other people doing it that like they're like Serve the Home does a great job because their focus is doing the hardware. I feel like my focus is a little bit better on the tutorials. I love creating tutorials, and that's what people know me for. So mixing the hardware in between once in a while, I did a B-Link video. Yeah. But the tutorial videos are something I enjoy quite a bit. I do them because I cover a lot of things that other people don't cover. And I try to make sure my tutorials are very concise in terms of here's all the steps you need to get this task accomplished. And when possible, or when needed, I should say, because it's always possible. When needed, I will also throw things in GitHub to make sure people have, if it's a Docker compose file that needs some customization, or even the diagram files, I throw them all in my GitHub along with that tutorial. So yeah. Just wanted to say the first time following you, I love your perspective on Linux and open source. Enjoyed your XCP&G. Awesome. Thank you. And that's what I want, is be able to have people go, hey, I didn't know how this worked. I now was able to follow the video, grab this open source tool and put this together. And this is kind of, as I said in the beginning about open source note taking, this is a piece of it. Was I like to show people how I take notes, how I have all my data organized, because by putting together all of that, it's also a tool that is free and accessible to you. Logseq is open source, is free. Fabric is open source and free. It does have, if you're tying it to like Google or some of the other ones, they do now charge for their API keys. I think you used to be able to get a free one from one of them, but none of them are free, but they're relatively inexpensive. But you can also run Olama and, query it yourself. And that doesn't, Olama's all, setting that all up is all open source as well. So that, once again, if you have the compute power, you can run it. If you have a compute power plus graphics card, you can run it well. The problem with people posting Docker Compose files is that they're not commented well enough to tell how to customize it. Yes, I walk through that in some of the videos and talk about customization. Like in the Greylog one, I talk through. I don't think I've got a ton of comments in it, but I do talk through the Compose video to walk through what needs to be changed inside of it. So yeah. I agree, though. Things need more comments because sometimes there's too many variables in there, and we should know what those variables do. I think that's an important aspect of it. So, all right. Well, that's where I'm going to end this. Thanks, everyone. It was awesome having all of you here. I'm going to go get some more things done, and see you next time. Thanks.